Hello everyone, welcome to another top 3 video. Today we're going to talk all about the top 3 Adeptus Mechanicus Forge Worlds. If you haven't already guys, please hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell in the corner over there to support the channel and also so you know each time we release one of these videos. So let's get straight into it then. The top 3 Forge Worlds. This is all in my opinion, by the way, guys. So if you have any that you think are really good and you have reasons why, please leave them in the comments below so everybody can share and learn and grow together. So in at number 3 for me, I have Styges 8. Now, I think Styges is pretty cool. Their dogma, first of all, is Shroud Protocols. So when you use a ranged attack, this is the dogma, when you use a ranged attack to target them, if you target a vehicle unit that does not have the core keyword, as long as you're making the attack from outside of 18 inches, they are -1 to hit. They get the benefits of dense cover. So you reduce your hit roll by 1 if you're targeting them. But also, if you target any other unit other than vehicles that are not core, so anything else other than those vehicles, then you are -1 to hit them outside of 12 inches. So it makes your guys more survivable. I think it's really good in the game right now because everyone knows Adeptus Mechanicus have got good firepower. So if you've got good firepower and you can combo that with some staying power, then you're going to last longer on the table. And I think that's brilliant. But also, charge targets cannot hold steady or set to defend. That one's not that great, I don't think, because you're not going to be using this that much with combat units. You may use it on Iron Strider Ballistari that go in there with the combat tasers, but I think mainly you're going to use this for shooting units. So like units that want to stay back out of range and be -1 to hit and shoot back better than they get shot by their opponent. But also, the Warlord trait for them, the Veiled Hunter, that's really cool. I really like it. At the start of the first battle round, you can pick up 2 units, just 2 Styges 8 units, don't have to be infantry, don't have to be core, don't have to be non-vehicle, and you can redeploy them. I think that's very strong. Because, for example, if you had units of Iron Strider Ballistari, which are some of the best units in the game right now, you could deploy them at the front line, and then like right on the front line, out in the open. Your opponent will be misled slightly. They could put themselves down where they've got good angles to shoot them, and then you go, right, I'm going second, I'll redeploy them and hide them somewhere. So your opponent, your opponent's wasted a lot of their firepower turn 1. So I like the shenanigans that you could do with the Warlord trait. And also their stratagem, Clandestine Infiltration, is really cool. You choose a Styges 8 core infantry unit. So this one does have to be core and it does have to be infantry. But that unit, when you deploy them, can deploy anywhere on the board, 9 inches from the enemy deployment zone and 9 inches from enemy models. So you've got some tricks to get up the board. You've got some tricks to redeploy, either backwards or forwards, depending on if you go first or second. And also you're -1 to hit at range. I think all in all, when you add all those buffs on top of each other, is definitely deserves to be in the top 3. And it's at number 3 for me because the other ones pip it, some by slightly and some by a lot. So number 2, Forge World number 2 is Mars, in my opinion. Now, I know a lot of people are chucking this in at number 1. But number 1's quite special for me because of some things that get laid on top of each other. So number 2 is Mars. Their dogma, first of all, is Masters of the Forge. So Skitarii units gain the Canticles of the Omnissiah. That's very powerful. Canticles can do some amazing things. Shroud Psalm for +1 save. There's also one that gives you a 1 reroll to hit, wound, and damage each time a unit fires. And also on top of that, there's another Canticle which makes your units -1 to be hit with melee attacks. And that's very powerful because, like I said, you're mainly going to be a gun line. So anything you can do to reduce damage once something hits you in combat is very powerful. So the Canticles, getting Canticles on all Skitarii is very good as it is. But also each time a unit fires or fights with this dogma, you can reroll 1 hit roll. Now, one of the best units in the game are Iron Strider Ballistari, like we just said, but with las cannons. If you put the las cannons on them, take them in units of 2, guys. If you take a unit of 2, they've got 4 las cannon shots, and you can reroll 1 of the hit rolls. But remember, there's the Canticle of the Omnissiah I was just talking about, where you can reroll 1 hit roll, wound roll, and damage roll, and then you stand them next to a Skitarii Marshal, who gives you reroll 1s to wound. So this is why Mars is so good. You got a unit of 2. You've got 4 las cannon shots now. Say you're in that Canticle. So you got 4 las cannon shots hitting on 3s. You can reroll 1 hit roll for being Mars and reroll 1 hit roll for your Canticle. So you hit with 4 shots hitting on 3s and you've got 2 rerolls to hit. Very accurate. Then you've got las cannons of strength 9, so you're even wounding things like Imperial Knights, toughness 8 units on 3s, rerolling 1s because you're by the Skitarii Marshal, and rerolling 1 of the 2s with the Canticle ability. So you're basically hitting on 3s with 2 rerolls, then wounded on 3s with rerolling all your 1s and 1 of your 2s as well. So they're very insanely reliable. Then they're -3 and they're D3 plus 3 damage. That's really going to hurt. And imagine if you had 2 or 3 units of this, each one is getting that many rerolls. So I think that's very powerful all in all. And that's just the Dogma. On top of that, you've got the Warlord trait, which is Panegyric Procession, I believe it's called. And you choose 1 friendly Mars Cult Mechanicus core unit within 6 inches of your Warlord, and they get a Canticle, and it can be even one that you've already done in the game already. So basically you can put Shroud Tom on a unit for the whole game, essentially. You can just pick the same unit over and over again, and they get 1 particular Canticle. Or you can do the -1 to hit in combat. That's really powerful as well. So you can lay these buffs on top of each other, and their stratagem is incredible. The Wrath of Mars has always been amazing. You pick a Mars unit in your army, any Mars unit in your army, and each time they roll an unmodified wound roll of a 6 to wound with their ranged attacks. They do a mortal wound. It's still a maximum of 6 mortal wounds, but that's still very powerful. It's only 1 CP on a unit that's less than 11 power level, I believe, or 8. And then if you go over that, then it's 2 CPs, which I think is incredible, because imagine doing that on something like a unit of Vanguard, you know, Skitarii Vanguard, and they've got like 30 shots or 60 shots with a unit of 20 of them, and they should definitely get like 6 6s when they roll to wound. So even if they're targeting something tough, 6 mortal wounds should get put on that thing. So as you can see, with all of these buffs on top of each other, they're kind of adding up, and that's what's making these forge rolls so great. So that is number 3 and number 2. Now, the reason why they're in 3 and 2 is because the relic for them is not particularly great. Everything else is good, but the relics aren't particularly great. In at number 1, I have Lucius. For me, they're just the best. They are the best out and out. And I'm going to explain why. Because they overall have everything that works. Like even their relic is great. So first of all, their Dogma is the Solar Blessing. I love this. You add 3 inches to all ranged weapons that models with this Dogma are armed with. So basically, those Skitarii Vanguard I was just talking about, they go from 18-inch range guns to 21. Then you put a Manipulus in there, and he increases the range by 6 inches again. They have 27-inch range guns now, and they're assault guns that have gone from 18-inch range to 27. So they've got 150% increase in their range, which is amazing. And then like things like Rangers, when you've got your Rangers, you can pay 2 CPs to make their guns rapid fire rather than heavy. Now they have a 30-inch range. You add 3 to that, they got 33. Manipulus add 6, they got 39-inch range. So their rapid fire is 19.5 inches. That's brilliant. After moving 6, 19.5 rapid fire, people won't see it coming, and it will just hit them so hard. So I really like that. But there's a second part to their Dogma as well, which is if you are targeted by any 1 damage attacks, you add 1 to saving throws made for your units. That's amazing. When your troops have got 4 up saves, and what people are going to want to chuck into them is anti-horde firepower if you've got units of 20. Anti-horde firepower is normally 1 damage. You're going to have a 3 up save against that. That's incredible. So that's definitely the best Dogma in my opinion. On top of that, the Warlord trait is 100% the best specific one, according to me, is Luminescent Blessing. You choose a friendly Lucius core unit within 9 inches of this Warlord, and until your next command phase, any unmodified wound rolls of a 1 to 3 automatically always fail, regardless of any abilities a weapon has. So you've got these toughness 3 troops now. 20-man units of toughness 3 troops, but they can only ever be wounded on a 4+. I think that's really good. And then you combo that with the low guy upgrade that you can give to one of your tech priests. Probably that Manipulus that's sitting right next to the unit. When he's low guy, he gets the first half of the power, and the first half of the power is you choose a friendly core unit within 6 inches of him, and they ignore AP -1 and -2 attacks. which is incredible. And then you never want to advance him to the next part of the ability. You just leave him on that one, because now you've got a unit of 20 infantry that are toughness 3, barely cost you any points. They can only ever be wounded on a 4+, and they are ignoring AP -1 and -2, and they're getting +1 save against 1 damage. They are ridiculously hard to shift. The units only cost you 160 points. This is why it's the best Forge World, in my opinion. You're taking these cheap units that haven't cost you very many points, and you're just making them insanely survivable. And like we said, the damage that they can do with their guns is also amazing. Point for point. They're point for point one of the best units in the game when you incorporate all these buffs on them. As if you thought that was it, their relic is great. It's called the Solar Flare. Once per game only, but you choose the bearer and a core unit within 3 inches of him at any point in your movement phase, so you can move into range of them. You can pick both units up and you can redeploy them anywhere on the battlefield 9 inches away from the enemy. So you know these Vanguard we were talking about? So those Vanguard with their only 18-inch range guns, if they were next to these guys, they could be sat at the back of the board and all of a sudden pick up, bang, they're right in front of your opponent 9 inches away, and they're shooting them with 60 shots from their assault weapons. And don't forget, with their radium weapons, you can pay 1 CP so that each time you roll a 4+ to hit, not wound, to hit, it automatically wounds a target. So you're going to be doing like 40 wounds on the enemy, because 30 of those will just automatically wound, and then the rest of them you still roll to hit and wound as normal. So you're going to cause like 40 wounds on something, and they're going to take that many saves. Like I said, man, it's just layering on all these buffs and buffs and buffs and buffs. And if that wasn't it, their stratagem is the last thing I want to talk about, the Legio Teleportarum. So before the game, you choose any Lucius unit, excluding vehicles, and for 1 CP, you can put that unit in reserve. Very powerful. Like I said, these infantry units that need to get there. So imagine you put 1 of them in reserve, you have 2 on the board. One of them is a ranger unit. They come out and they've got long range shooting. The Vanguard unit can be solar flared over wherever they need to go and hit hard. Legio Teleportarium unit can drop from the sky and hit very hard. You've just got so many options if you go Lucius to get your infantry around the board, and they're the ones that are doing most of the damage in your army. And they're nice little tricksy units that people won't see coming, and they're very durable and they're objective secured. So in my opinion, this is definitely the best Forge World. The last thing to say is that Legio Teleportarum strat, you can only ever use it once, but in Strike Force missions, which is what most of you will be playing at 2,000 points, you can use the stratagem twice, so you can put 2 units in reserve. So hands down, guys, for me, that is the number 1. Go Lucius, man. And like I say, these are my top 3 Forge Worlds. If there are any that you're finding particularly well or are working really well for you, please leave them in the comments below with your reasons so everybody can learn and grow together. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and until the next one, I'll see you later.